We've come to the wonderful, beautiful end of Startup Istanbul. As we are getting ready for the jury, I would like to bring the three mentors on stage so we can get some quick feedback on what went wrong and what went right with the entrepreneurs. Can I have a 10-minute clock, please? 10-minute clock, please. Rina, Bill, and Onur, please. Our three mentors. Give me a big hand, folks. Now, the chairs are for the jury, so we're not going to sit down. We're going to keep this quickly flowing. Rina, how many entrepreneurs did you mentor at this event?
Probably around 50 to 60.
50 to 60 of the 100 entrepreneurs. What about you, Bill?
Yeah, at least 60.
At least 60. Ozan?
110, unfortunately.
110. Okay, the 100 and then 10 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
They came
the
off
Pirates.
the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
What about lifetime, Rina?
Probably like 2,000.
2,000?
Yeah, thousands. Yeah.
Thousands?
Yeah.
1,000 in the last 1,000 days.
1,000 in the last 1,000 days. So that's a good answer. So we have a lot of experience of speaking to budding entrepreneurs on the stage. I don't want to know about the good entrepreneurs. They've already succeeded, okay? What about some of the cases that you thought needed some improvement, or perhaps some of the good entrepreneurs were not that good at the beginning? What are some of the most common mistakes you have experienced with young entrepreneurs? Rina?
So I guess the ones that fail to tell me who they are, what they do and how it's different, and 3, what their entire market looks like. If I don't hear these.
In the first sentence,
In
who
the
are
first
you, what
sentence.
do you do, what's your market size?
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, actually, it was interesting to see how many people had traction, actually had revenue that we didn't find out about until the Q&A. And that should be very early, if not first.
Listen, if you're making money, tell them.
Yeah.
Courage, especially this lacks as in many of the places that are emerging. When you go to US, they brag about even the smallest achievements they made. When you come here, much like Bill was saying, they got millions of dollars, but you know, we didn't have any marketing budget. We're really sorry, we just had $500,000 revenue. Just brag about it. Just put it in front of people who are ready to appreciate it. You have a team, you have strategy, you have product. Just talk about it. Be courageous. Don't be ashamed of the little things you couldn't have done yet.
If you've got it, tell us about it.
Just show it.
What about
flaunt it.
interaction between teams of entrepreneurs? Did you have experiences where individuals claim to be single entrepreneurs, or did you see teams fight in front of you? What was the teamwork?
Not during this session, and that's a great question, but because the pitches were limited to 2.5 minutes, usually even in a case with multiple co-founders, only one co-founder chose to present, which I think is the great way to go when the pitch is short. But usually when we're talking to entrepreneurs at a lengthier setting and deciding whether we want to invest or not, the co-founder relationship is really important. We want to see a symbiotic relationship where they're cooperative and hearing each other out and overall working well together.
Yeah, the teams that came to Mentor Room 3 will get a good laugh out of this. So the number one thing we saw that the extra teammates or the non-speaker not do was take notes. Only 2 of 60 ventures came in the room prepared to have somebody take notes. And there are 2 reasons to do that. Number one, there actually may be something important said that you want to remember, and it's much better than recording it just recording the voice. And the second is you're conveying respect. And there are people that are sharing their best thoughts, and the best way to show them your respect is to take some notes and make it important.
Let me pick up on that. Did they perhaps not even listen?
It's hard to gauge that, right? And in fact, we learned to actually stop before we said, we'll orient you. You have 2.5 minutes. And we looked at the rest of the team and we said, what's your job? And of course, we got nothing. And we said, take out a piece of paper, take out a pen. Most of them didn't even have it. So we had to give them a piece of paper and a pen. So yeah, it didn't start well.
Okay, bring a piece of paper and pen to the meeting. Ozan?
Well, we had this training before. Startups, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth. When you're going to pitch, use it in that proportion. You have to listen more and respond less. And your first response is, thank you so much for this comment. Even if you don't agree, show respect, because these people have been doing this for a very, very long time. Just take their advice, let it sink in, You apply it or you don't apply it. It's completely up to you. But at least show them, I listen to you, I appreciate it, and go your own way. It's your journey. You have to decide what to do, but 2 ears, 1 mouth.
I like that, 2 ears and 1 mouth. I wish I'd learned that when I was at a younger age myself. Let me pick up on that. Do they get defensive? It's a cultural question, okay? It's Americans versus Turks versus Arabs versus Chinese, Indians. Do you find that some cultures especially are not used to listening to critique, and how do you deal with cases like that?
I don't want to classify that based on where you're from. I think that exists with entrepreneurs more than non-entrepreneurs, period. And I think that's a good derivative of being passionate and driven about what you do. So sometimes it's difficult to hear the negative, especially in a short setting, when you have to be really blunt and to the point. My best advice would be not to take it personally. We're here to kind of give you feedback, and if I come out and say, oh, all is good, you don't need any help, I would be doing a disservice to you. So take it, don't necessarily answer it if there's this solid, short answer to what I'm giving you. Just take it, say thank you, and think about that at your own time. Agree or disagree, irrelevant.
So on one hand, you have to be passionate. Of course, you have to be passionate, or else you're not an entrepreneur. You have to show the passion. On the other hand, you have to be willing to listen and hear the critique, because we're just here to give you a better shot at the next round.
Sure. Can I add something
to
that? So actually, I think there's even a better opportunity with the Q&A time. And it's actually something you should practice for when you're talking to customers, is you need to learn the skill of empathy, which is to understand something from someone else's perspective. And more often than not, the first comment or question you might get from a mentor is just something to get into the conversation. They'll ask you a question that actually you should say, well, can you tell me what you mean by that? And they'll before you know it, you're going to get a lot more information than you expected. So as opposed to rebutting, really ask them some questions, try to qualify what they mean, and you're going to gain much, much more.
You want to add to that, Ozan?
One thing that especially first-stage entrepreneurs fail to recognize, when you're really pitching to an angel group or a VC, you usually don't hear a no answer immediately. Even if they have decided that they're never going to invest in you, it's very difficult for investors to say directly no. And angels especially, they are really nice to you. Because they have a reputation to protect. They want to say, oh, this is an angel friendly to startups. So just know that not everything they say is exactly what's going on through their minds. So you really need to do empathy. Okay, it really didn't seem they were excited, so you can tap on them more. What would have made you more excited about this startup? What do you think our next steps could be like? What was missing if you're really not understanding, or if you're really not into our startup? So let them give more guidance to you. So maybe you find something and pick up on that on a later stage.
How many pitches does it take for someone to become better at it, so, provided that the person is actually listening? Do you actually see improvement in pitches after you give feedback?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, if I'm fortunate enough to kind of see the progression of an entrepreneur in a startup, and I see them at super early stage when it wasn't viable for me to invest, and then it becomes viable, and then they get geared up for a Series A, you definitely see them improve the more they talk to people, especially if they're open. But I had a friend in the Valley who once said it takes 200 times to pitch until you perfect it.
Pitches.
Yeah.
That's a good
I don't know
number.
if it's accurate, but
it's a good round number.
And what, the 10,000 hours, 200 pitches, it's all, there's just, we've quantified everything.
Well, I think the point is it's not 10 or 20. It's way
unless
beyond
you're like
that.
naturally talented for some reason.
Well, even then, I think 100 is a good round number. You got to go beyond that.
Well, it's
now,
really, I mean, you're talking about a variety of skills, right? It's not just the story, which takes some time to evolve, but it's also your ability to perform, the ability to feel comfortable in front of a large or small room of important people. I think that's...
And also your ability to hone in, to understand what's important about your business to the investor. Because what's important to you as an entrepreneur it's not necessarily what's important to the investor. Yeah. So.
Again, we did this training for some of the startups. To be a singer, you need an audience. You can sing in the shower yourself, that doesn't qualify you as a singer. For that audience, you need to tone down, you need to understand what they like. It's not about you at all. If you're pitching to investors, what are these people doing? They're in the business of making money. So you need to tone your product, service, idea, vision to make them realize, oh, if I help this company, it will help me get my job done. most of you, especially engineers, and you've seen that more than I did, they start talking about the product and the product and the product and the product. Okay, I don't get it because it's not my interest. So tune your message to your audience. Then you'll become a good singer with practice, 100 times, 200 times. If you're not able to do that, don't take other people's times too much because you're not going to learn a lot.
What would be your final recommendation for our finalists who are about to pitch here for their lives?
Just focus on your message about your company, what makes your company exciting, and show us that you're excited about it. I hate listening to people who sound bored because that bores me and I don't want to hear what they're saying. So bring excitement to your pitch.
The point is to convince you to read the business plan, right? They don't have to give you all the details.
Exactly.
Here.
Really just two things. Number one, enjoy it. You've got a wonderful audience in front of you. And number two, keep it really simple. Just be direct and keep it simple.
Keep it simple, be direct. Good advice.
Find your ask, tune your ask, and show them, I am worthy of your time. Please give me more time. Let me have you sit with me for another half an hour. That's a relationship building. Okay, today there will be a 1, 2, 3, but it's not about being the first, the second, the third. You want to build relationships. If she remembers you from today's pitch, when you email her, she'll say, oh, I remember you. And then she'll spend half an hour more. If she doesn't remember you, she'll probably say, well, let me send another email, and then maybe in 2 months I might get back to you. Really have their attention, and it's in your head. You can get that done.
That's a great point to finish on, Ozan, actually. We're going to have an all-out competition, and we're going to have a jury. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, but none of that stuff really matters. The goal of the finalists is actually only to get one person to raise an eyebrow. One eyebrow is enough. Okay, I want to talk to this guy for a few more minutes. All you can get with a 2.5-minute pitch is maybe 15 minutes of somebody else's time. And then you get half hour, and then you get 2 hours, and then maybe you get half day, due diligence, then you get to financing round. So nobody's going to give you $200,000 because of an exceptional pitch here in 2.5 minutes, okay? The stakes are not that high. Enjoy it, you finalists. Thank you very much, mentors. Rina, Bill, Ozan, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Nice job. Yeah,
Rina, you can stay on the stage because you're going to be one of our judges.